it takes very little to actually set it. This is not how I prefer to set it. And if anyone can come and spray the carcinogenic for
Ahead of that, please.
Okay. Like I said, the accelerator does set very, very quick. Does anyone have a stopwatch?
Oh, I've got a second hand.
I got stops. It's only half an hour.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
You can reset it at half an hour.
All right. And if you have any questions, you can please ask them. Mr. Wayne Emery back here behind me is going to answer them for me, and we'll get started.
Ready to go?
Here we go.
Wayne, what was your original hair color? Actually, well, a little bit darker, reddish brown, rapidly modified to gray.
That's what I'm going to say.
There you go. That's my hair color now.
So you're rounding it now?
How much pressure can you put on that when you're pushing it?
2 pounds. 2 pounds of mass.
Yeah, 2-3 pounds of pressure. I mean, a large stone can take a lot of pressure to remove material. This material is relatively soft.
Generally directly on the stone also.
Yeah, one of the things you have to adopt when you do this, people want to hold some part of the machinery and press down to get some kind of leverage. That's not good. That'll cause a lot of problems. It's hard on the
You have your
machinery.
angle preset.
Angle with preset, yes. And generally we'll want to hold the stone. And then what we have back here, you can't see it from your direction. Maybe I can spin this one around. This is what they call an electronic microscope. Basically, it's an analog gauge that is connected to a strain gauge, and we have to cut the first facet to some given point. We cut that by eye, and then make note of where the little needle is here, and successive facets around the stone. You just cut to the same point. You do not need to look at the stone at all. When you're done with that, believe me, everything is where it's supposed to be. This, when the needle moves from this side to the other side, it's equivalent to 2/1000ths of an inch vertical distance. That's about a human hair. Do we need that accuracy? Depends on who you are. David wants more accuracy all the time. You're sitting next to one of the top 2 or 3 cutters on the planet. Seriously.
Oh, what's that?
Which one of you is he talking about? Or
This
both?
Dale Hurt. He's very,
Okay, hi.
very, very well recognized.
So Johnny has preset his first angle using this protractor affair here to 42 or 43 degrees. And what he'll do is cut the stone until it looks like that facet is at least halfway across its piece of rough, meaning that as we go around it, it'll come to a point. And that's what we want to do first.
So you make a point like a cone.
Well, you can actually put this device in freewheel and spin it and turn it into a cone. Some people actually do freeform that way. But what he's doing right now, there's a gear on here that's divided into 96 equal parts. He wants to place 8 equal facets around the stone. So that means every 12th slot he goes to. So he's already done that. For instance, he goes 12, 24, 36, 48. At that angle, and he doesn't need to look because it'll cut each one very, very accurately. And remember, that's the rough cutting anyway. Who cares? It becomes more important when we get to the finer grinds. So right now, this is a 1200 grit lap manufactured by, or actually, is this in production yet? Not ready for sale, but I used this lap the other day, and it's really, really nice. 1200 grit, but it will put a pre-polish on softer material like this. So it just repeats what he just did, getting rid of the coarse cutting and leaving a very, very smooth surface. If the surface is smooth enough, we can move to a polishing lap. if you move to the polishing lap too quickly, you'll sort of get a partial polish. It's very difficult to polish away gouges and creases and things like that. So each stage removes a little bit more material. The polishing actually removes very, very, very little material. So he's just going around the stone, smoothing it out, getting it ready to polish, and then he'll move to a polishing lap. Again, using the same settings. On a more complicated cut, we would add some other facets on the bottom of this stone. But since we're trying to get a commercially acceptable look to a cut in 30 minutes or less, well,
how many facets can you put on a stone?
many as you'd like. As many as you'd like. This, we have index gears that have.
Standard.
Well,
20 is typically the most cheaper thing on the
Most people use 96, pretty standard for everything.
You'll see most of the stones that are cut are going to be anywhere from about 52 facets to maybe 60 facets. A lot of people fall in that range. That's pretty close. There's a lot of the fancier cuts, so they'll get up to 70 or 80 facets. One thing that's interesting, for any given size stone, a lot of people think that the more facets you put on there, the more brilliant it will become, and that is simply not true. What controls the brilliance of the stone is the precision of the angles. You can't just pull an angle out of the sky. Every transparent material has its own set of angles that it will work best at.
Is there a way you can vary the thickness from the, I don't know what you call the bottom of the stone to the top, to use more stone or less stone and still get more brilliance?
Well, you won't get more brilliance. You'll get the most brilliance by working within a very narrow range of angles. However, if you were to go to the jewelry store and look at sapphires, rubies, emeralds, so on and so forth, you will note that perhaps those stones aren't as brilliant as you might like them to be. And that's often because the angles were chosen not to create maximum brilliance in the stone, but to keep a lot of weight in the stone.
Yeah, that's what I was...
And that's always been
if you could cut so
Are
that
you
they
sure
weigh...
you got the right side of that?
keep that shiny side.
So that you could cut a stone so it weighed
Always
more.
got to be hectic.
Yes, you absolutely can. And most of the stones you will see in the jewelry stores are cut by overseas cutters who get paid by the weight that they produce. Very little thought is given to brilliance. That's changing a bit now, but another way of saying that is lots of times when you buy an expensive stone, you're paying for an awful lot of weight that doesn't add to the brilliance of the stone. But we could have a stone that's, let's just say, this big around that weighs 100 carats. It might weigh 180 carats. And you get to pay for every one of those extra carats. So the purpose of...
that was my question.
Yeah, you get the drift there.
At 1,000 a carat or something, yeah.
Or 20,000.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it makes a lot of difference.
Typically with overseas cutting houses, though, the better rough gets cut better as well.
Yeah. Real high-end rough
And
usually
so
doesn't
you
get
pay more for it.
is usually not too bad. But a lot of people who cut for a living, part of the things that we get to do, if we choose, is to recut stones to better proportions, especially if they've been damaged, so on and so forth. It's always a fight with the owners of the stone. When you tell them you're going to reduce the weight by 30%, they just about have a heart attack. Of course, what you're going to produce is something that was really now a beautiful stone, and the value will rise because of that. Sometimes offsetting the loss of weight. Sometimes.
Texas. Yeah. Yeah, just over from San Antonio.
Yes.
You're still living Dallas.
Yeah. Real far tomorrow. That's in my front yard.
We can come up with safe, pretty much.
Don't lean on the table.
Do you have to use this spring?
This man, I use a lot of machines. This is usually my favorite one. What he's doing now is that point that he just straight at the bottom of the stump. Super glue.
didn't even stand there.
Inside the cone shape. To see over everybody.
What Johnny's doing is using what we call a transfer block or a transfer jig, and he's going to glue another dop stick on the other side of the stone. So at some point here, we're going to have a stick on one side, stone in the middle, and a stick on the other side. The job of the transfer jig is to hold these dop sticks in perfect alignment, because if they didn't, when we go back to cut the other side, why, things would be cattywampus, and we wouldn't like that too much.
Aren't you gonna polish the girdles?
No, on this one I've decided not to.
Is that because of the value of the sale or because of the speed cut?
Because it's speed cut.
It's because he knew you'd give him a bad
More
time.
heckling
Yes.
from the crowd.
Oh, yeah. To be expected.
That's all right. He figured me. He'll take care of me in the parking lot later. Then we'll go out to dinner and have a few beers.
I was just gonna say, then where's the beer?
Well, I'm supposed to have been gone already, but I might as well hang out and have a couple of beers.
All
I've actually got a good English.
Okay, good. Yeah.
I can actually see better.
Where you talking?
I can easily spend the rest of my day over in the Diamond Pacific.
Okay, now at this point, there's several different ways to do the transfer. You would normally use heat to take it off. Since this is speed, I'm going to cut it off. Now, there's enough stone here that I'm just going to cut off just what I need for the table. You actually would have enough to cut off another. You can actually have matching earrings.
See, when he saws that in half, he's still got a piece of stone attached to each stick, right? So what's nice about this is that if he continues cutting what he's cutting, the other stick, cut another stone diameter, and you've got the match there. Otherwise, it's a little bit of a chore. Although this machine allows you to cut match pairs very, very accurately from individual pieces of rough, this is a nice way to go. When you have enough rough, that you can do it. And the synthetic materials and quartzes are the less expensive materials in such a rough. It probably would not happen with the sapphire.
Very waiting for the curious. Crank on top of that sure would be
It
nice.
sure would be nice.
Especially for speed cutting.
Yes, it would.
Servo motor.
That's what that cranky Texas came up with. No, he's not.
Oh, he's not?
I ain't.
Yeah.
I take his machine and I make all kinds of changes to it to do my own thing. And one of the things I did was I put a crank on top of that that he's adjusting right there, just for things like this, where I can crank that thing real fast.
Yeah, but does that lock in?
Does it? Just like it.
You say put a crank on it, does that lock in or?
No, it just makes it faster for you to spin that thing around.
Okay, it won't change once you set it.
No, it stays where it's at. It's real tight.
if anybody gets the idea that it's a good idea to saw the stone in half like that, well, something you need to be aware of that don't take a clue from this particular saw. This saw blade, this is a type of saw blade that's used for much larger stones. So the trim saws that we call them to do this work are very, very, very thin saw blades that operate probably at a little bit higher speed. The object, of course, is to waste as little of the rough material as possible.
I was going to say, this thing here would waste a lot.
Yeah, this would waste a lot, but this is a synthetic material, so we don't care. So, although some synthetics can get a little pricey.
If you run out of time, you want me to use some accelerator?
There they go again. Where's the brake?
Yeah.
It's always good to have a friend here.
Oh, yeah.
Now if he only had a beer.
Now, is this polishing?
Pre-polish.
Pre-polish. You have a place here to show it.
No. I come down just to bug everybody. See everything there is to see. Fire up, buy tools. Go home broke. No, I'm fortunate enough to have a father. Good drug quality, so I just ship things wherever they go. And I go out in my little garage, air conditioned and heated, and I don't go in there. I have to go to the grocery store. I have a website which is not up at the moment, but everyone has to know. You can put my name on a Google search and see all sorts of things. That's it. Yes, I must have. If I had an opera, I had a major knee operation. So yeah, I lost 30 pounds since then.
Yeah, somehow he got rid of it. Oh, really?
Looked on it.
He got into his height in his boots. Back into his boots after his operation.
Yeah, I don't have one today.
3 inches taller.
They wore me out this year. So I
Yeah, we did some recon jobs to see how good the got one touch ball over the rest.
Yeah, I have actually gone Buford up to Dust Devil. It's Yukon some kind of mix, and then yeah, you get to like a half gallon thing with fire. I can't remember what it is. It's like a lime juice. That's what I like. Yeah. Well, everything just goes down smooth. Keep chasing the
What time is it? 20?
I think we got some of that.
You know what he's doing right now? He's putting water underneath this thin film. That will help that suck down and hang on to the plate.
I was wondering why.
Otherwise, it just fly up in the air when you got it some RPM. Yeah. Just a little bit of water.
It's a mylar lap with an abrasive material embedded in it for polishing softer materials. And
No. Well,
we try to get it to adhere to some underlying lap, either a master lap, although the best one is the one we just previously pre-polished on, so that it's plainer. But they're very good and they polish very quickly, scratch-free usually. However, in a dusty environment, all you need is one little piece of silica dust and there you go. They're inexpensive. The disadvantage of them is that they will tend to, because it's mylar, it has some thickness and it is somewhat flexible, so we get some slight rounding of facet edges. If you use a lighter pressure when you do it, it's really hard to see that, but if you're in a hurry like he is here, it'll round the facet edges. It's really not obvious, but under close inspection you would see it. The softer the material, the more the rounding.
He's doing pretty good, actually.
There are some resin labs that have these same polishing materials embedded in the resin, mixed through the resin. Because they're much harder, they'll cut a very flat facet almost as quickly. A lot of materials will have directional hardness, as you know, and so sometimes when we get to polishing,
No, you don't have to talk, it makes a big difference.
facet might be a little more reluctant to take a polish and will press harder, it'll cut a little bit more. So the bottom line there is that we can have very, very precise cutting, but when we get to the polishing stage, we can lose that precision pretty quickly if we're not careful.
Yeah, Will's turn. Nobody's home, man.
But it's really hair splitting. Most of that stuff we need a 10 power loop at least to see it with the naked eyeball.
Yeah.
There's lines in there throwing it off, John. Crystalline lines. This one has some, oh, it scratches.
Sometimes this material has inclusions that are little tiny near microscopic tubes, and they'll look like, it's hard to tell if they're close to the surface. It's hard to tell, is that on the surface or not? And notice he's not using magnification to look with it. It's pretty challenging.
Oh.
That must be the one you ordered the beer with.
He doesn't need a phone there. We're going to get a phone.
Yeah. Like long distance go.
Oh, interference. Let's go.
Is that go with an automatic speed or control?
It's variable speed. You can adjust it for whatever you want. When you're
60
removing-
RPM to about 2,000.
When you're removing a lot of material with a coarse grit, you can just crank it up. There's typically polishing, you slow the speed down.
Now I do need heat.
You're done.
Done.
Dang,
You done?
You beat your
That's
record.
under 24 minutes.
Huh?
Under 24 minutes.
Yeah.
Anyone have a cigarette lighter?
Give it another 30 minutes to get
Yeah.
set.
That cigarette, yeah. In 30 minutes get stone off. I call it finished now.
Oh, it is.
Somebody on the list recommended throwing it down.
Really?
Yeah. I
Wow.
don't know. Really? Leaving whopping it. Yeah. That'll be fun, huh?
What's the message on it?
Acetone will release it, but it takes probably take 15 or 20 minutes for it to release from the
With the
super.
fire on it.
Well, and sometimes you got to be careful because if you overheat the stone, it could crack it or who knows what. Sometimes that super glue just does not want to release. There's a lot of folks use different types of waxes, and so the wax is, of course, just a little bit of heat or it will release and clean up. The problem is on some hard materials, when you're polishing using wax, the heat buildup in the stone will cause the wax to get a little soft, and the stone will shift, and that's a sort of a disaster. So I use 2-part epoxy.
What's that?
You say, whoops, there goes another carrot or two.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Super glues and the 2-part epoxies are pretty widely used these days.
There we go.
And you need some
So
serious
well,
heat
the
for
dumping
stuff
up the
like
deal and give him literally under 25 minutes.
Blue's still working.
3 weeks to clean the stone up, but
You don't need a setting.
No, there you go.
But it's passages.
Body
Stick it on your
jewelry.
oh
finger.
yes, it sure is,
Can you do
man.
it?
Well, you could just super glue it to your finger. You
Yeah.
wouldn't have to.
I think we're down to 24 before we tried to get it off the top.
Accident. 38 minutes after.
So we're going to carry it on for next year and try to do the 30 minutes next year?
No, we did.
Really?
Yeah,
24
minutes.
minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, next year has to be 20 minutes now.
15.
15. Maybe on the 2mm. It's done.
Nobody can tell it.
Yeah.
So what size is
Yeah, must
that
be
now
good.
finished?
Do you have your calipers?
No, but I got a 10-power loop if you want me to use the official inspection.
Yeah, I like that too.
Let's do an Australian challenge.
Just on
Yeah.
radius or so. 8.
There you go.
Actually, it's split. 9mm.
9mm.
Oh man, I was off 4/10 of a millimeter. See the stone joint? I'm taking macro photo of it.
Well, this one still looks good. Yeah, it's split. But yeah, when anybody asks me to take a look to it, I tell them I looked at 3 facets, well, 4 came to the table. So go right ahead. I'm proud of it regardless. Bob Keller, I told him, he was like, really, I'd like to see it. And I showed him, he said, well, he said, you're not going to win any competitions with it. He said, but it is
That
still
isn't the point. The point is to demonstrate the accuracy of the machine.
repeatability of the machine.
Another thing, when I took a cab course once in Germany from people trained in Wiener Overstein. And the lady said, anything that's cut by the naked eye is judged by the naked eye. Which is a nice point. I like that.
I've always liked judging things. We'll get in trouble over time.
Shaky right now.
And you're not going to look at it up close?
Oh yeah, I'll look at it up close.
Well, looks good to me.
For 24 minutes.
I'll take it if you want to get rid of it.
So we got to weigh it and do a close-up photograph for the record.
Let's have it big. Very nice. Beautiful.
Well, like I said, it's not going to win any awards.
No, but it's certainly a lot more accurate than all the commercial cut stones that you see.
Oh, does that mean you're buying the beer?
We should have put that up. You know?
Yeah, she's got to buy a machine.
Yeah, that's right.
No, I meant for him.
Oh, no, we're going to feed him.
A little
Yeah.
heat sensitive, I guess.
Yeah.
Too much heat on the stone.
Yeah.
Crack.
Yeah.